He's not a bat, he's a man who fights crime. And we're gonna watch him fight for a minute at a time. With John and Niall and a guest who doesn't rhyme. It's Bat Minute!
Attention, citizens of Fair Gotham, and welcome once again to Bat Minute and Robin, the show that can't be tied down. We're bachelors and bachelorettes all day, every day, baby. I am one of your hosts, John Parker.
And here, picking some of the food for thought out of my teeth, it's me, Niall McGowan.
Come on, you need to do that before you get on the air. That's just disrespectful to the audience. What are you doing? What are you doing?
Tense, evening. I just needed something to,
Boo, hiss, boo, hiss.
Listeners, you can hear a voice in the background. We are joined by a very special guest. Returning once more, we have the one, the only, Bryarly Bishop.
Hello, it's me, back again, still not dead, living through a pandemic like a champ.
It's like every season we have to check in going, you dead yet, Bryarly? Like,
I do have a friend that I text pretty regularly, and all we say is like, you dead? And I guess it's macabre, but it's fun, you know?
it's like cool running, so that you're dead, man. Oh, man.
I'm stealing this. I'm going to do this from now. Now, this is our only communication from now on. This isn't podcast related.
I like the way that you've said it, like our only form of communication. It makes me think of it evolving from text messages into like ravens and foxes.
Oh, yeah.
Or an emoticon of just a gravestone and a question mark next to it.
Well, emojis are basically hieroglyphs.
Yeah.
We read them in the same way. So Egyptians invented the emoji, I think. But we are here to talk not about Egyptians, which is a shame. We are here to talk about minute 61 of Batman and Robin. The minute starts with the promise of a good hubby, and it ends with a scummy piece of crap.
Oh, man. This is like
it sure does.
Oh, actually, but yeah, before we get into the minute properly, Bryarly, because I need to know the context now, because when we did 89 way back years ago, you were one of the few guests who was on who hadn't seen the movie previously. And so it was like, it's like exciting to get fresh eyes on this thing. And I also understand this is your first go around with Batman and Robin as well. So I gotta know what it like. It's got a reputation, so I need to know what the people coming to it fresh actually would think.
Yeah.
I thought it was fun. I also didn't think it was like an amazing piece of cinema. But I was just like, to be honest with you, before I started watching it, I looked to see if it had a drinking game because I'd heard that it was not good.
Yeah.
And I did find one, but it was so long that I thought if we attempted it, we'd die.
Yes.
And
I think any drinking game you could come up with for this movie would kill you because it's so absurd.
One of the main things I remember it was like anytime there's a pun, you have to drink.
That's every 10 seconds.
Anytime Batman and Robin argue, you have to drink.
That's most of the film.
Yeah.
It's like anytime Clooney wobbles his head, it's like, it's every single second he's on screen.
Oh. If you would like, can I talk about that? This is my fact. This is my Clooney fun fact.
Yes, you did tease off Mike that you have a Clooney bit of trivia. So I was like, what is this
I have a
thing?
bit of Clooney trivia since you mentioned the head wobble. I can't remember who it was, but one of his acting teachers, when he was a young actor, was like, you're doing this head wobble. And if you can keep your head still, you can be a leading man. And I had only ever seen him in like Ocean's 11, like later stuff. But watching Batman and Robin, I was like, oh my God, he can't keep his head still
he's
to
doing the
save
head
his
thing.
life. Like,
I think there's also partial, like, because he's wearing the Bruce Wayne turtleneck. But it's like, that's classic Bruce Wayne uniform. It could also be there's like a neck brace in there just to kind of keep it steady. Like
They're desperately trying to keep his neck.
I like that your first thought is something mechanical. They're like, we'll just bolt it. But I mean, he clearly did it, He overcame the head wiggle.
Yeah.
He still does it, but I think he saves it for special occasions.
Yeah, it's when he's really getting into the part.
In the minute, we start off, Bruce, we're back with him letting his woman down gently.
Yeah.
And I think she takes it pretty well, to be honest, considering this Bruce has been an absolute jerk to her.
Oh, I think this is a classic example of people not listening to each other or gauging chemistry.
Sorry?
Oh,
I said, excuse me, sorry, because I burped. I'm sorry.
Oh, I thought you were doing like a joke because I said about people not listening to each other, and you're like, I'm sorry, what did you say?
No.
I thought it was a bit. Oh, no.
No, it was just run-of-the-mill politeness. Sorry.
But no, because then he goes this whole thing, like, there's no chemistry between these two, and then she's throwing down a marriage proposal, and he's like, I'm not the marrying kind. And then her response is, you'll make someone a good husband someday. It's like, what? Jesus Christ, lady, wake up. What are you doing?
Well, she does say, though, someone, as in probably not me, and one day.
Yeah.
Not now. So, and she's up front. She's like, look, I can't wait around forever. Like, I really want to get married. That's my thing. So if you're not into that, I'm going to have to go.
I love how you phrase it like a kink. Like, it's not like, we've been dating for years and I love you. It's like, this is my thing.
A marriage kink.
This would be very much like, up front on the dating profile will be,
hey, baby,
I
my
am
kink
here
is
to get
monogamy.
married.
Here to get murdered.
We're going to get married at the weekend we meet. And then see what happens from there.
First time you're having sex, you just put up like a picture of a priest next to you holding a Bible. You're like, just looking at it the whole time.
Ew. You'd never get past that, I think.
I do think this is mature, though, Niall. I think it is. It's up front, and it makes me respect her a little bit, because that's her thing. Like, I am at the point in my life, I want to settle down with someone, and Bruce isn't digging it. So she's like, cool, that's fine. I'm out of here.
Yeah, I agree.
I think this is a real lack of emotion all around. And
Bruce does not care. Does he?
Well, from both of them as well. It's just more if she's willing to get married, if he wants to get married to him, and he's just like, no. And then she's just like, well, here's some food for thought and stuff. It's more like, you think if she's serious about this, it'd be a bit more emotion to the scene.
It's a business deal. That's why.
It's a very transactional thing. Like, and it actually gets worse as the minutes go on. We'll get to it like towards the end, but like, there's potential to make this scene much more interesting. But because there's just no one involved seems to be bothered. Like, Clooney isn't acting. She's not, like, Elle McPherson's not really acting. Schumacher's just going like, that's fine, whatever,
He's not interested in this scene. I can't get it over.
He's like, I got like a friggin' Mr. Freeze suit to perfect in the corner over here. I ain't got time for this.
Am I right that there's like the little fantasy moment?
Oh no, that is this minute. Yeah, that's when we see as the minute progresses. Yeah, he literally starts drowning out what Elle McPherson is saying.
He's not interested in anything she's putting out.
Yeah, starts daydreaming about poison ivy.
When I like watched it, I don't know. I guess I kind of took it. I took it as like not like a breakup scene or like this is like the moment. I took it as like an "Are we okay?" conversation.
Okay.
Because like, yeah, he's totally not attending, and she's like, hey, like, I need to get married, and someday you're gonna be ready, and here's something to think about. Like, she's trying to like be like cool and classy. But I did enjoy that they're like, let's have a really weird, difficult conversation in formal attire in front of a fireplace. Like,
the whole scene is weird to me. Every
it looks
bit of
like
this is
it's
peculiar.
ready for seduction, and then it's like, hey,
like why would you be having this nice romantic meal by the fireplace if you're not really into it?
Yeah, I guess.
Oh man, what if Alfred set it up?
Oh, it could be. Maybe Alfred left it for him. He's like, I'm going out, master. I've done everything for you.
Yeah.
Although knowing the state of Alfred in this movie, he's probably like crawling along the floor to try to get everything set up. He's like, I'll be in my quarters. Yeah, fine, Alfred.
Made you a lovely dinner for you and your date. Please enjoy
A lovely
the
dinner
warm
that they're not even
fire.
touching.
Not even touching it. Well, they can't because they're having such an engaging conversation.
Oh yeah. They're so into this deep emotional conversation. Yeah.
They look. You know what
Distracting
I
them.
will say? it's shot very pretty.
Oh. I mean,
they both look great.
Yeah, Schumacher's a guy who knows how to make people look beautiful. That's kind of one of his big things. Is he's just like he's always been defensive when people said like he kind of overly sexualizes everybody, and his attitude is like people are going to the movies to see good-looking people and stuff, so I'm making everybody the best.
Look really good.
Yeah, everybody in my films is beautiful all the time because that's what I want to see. It's like. I can't argue with that, I guess.
Can't argue with that. No, it's sensible. I get it.
If I can say, speaking of I know we just briefly mentioned Poison Ivy, but like,
oh yes,
because, and I know it's not my minute, but Uma Thurman's like her whole beginning with Poison Ivy, I was like, I'm not sure if this is like the best acting I've ever seen, but she is having a ball with it. Like she is having the best time. I don't think anybody has more fun in this movie than Uma Thurman unless it's Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Oh yeah, I think she probably has a better time than him because Arnie had to endure all the makeup where she just kind of like put the little
you're right.
The lettuce leaves over my eyes. I'm ready to go. It's like go good for you.
And she just gets to look absolutely gorgeous, whereas Arnold looks peculiar. Shall we say.
She does have to wear that big monkey suit though.
Oh, that's true.
Even that's kind of sexy though.
Yeah, but it's not really fun to be sexy on set. Like
it probably loses the sexiness.
It doesn't feel, I don't know. Like, have you ever been part of any kind of like board meeting or like pre-sport meeting, like where a bunch of people are like harried and sweaty, and they're like, okay, so they like wipe the sweat off their face. Like, all right, so in like 5 minutes, we're going to get you out of the gorilla suit. We're going to get like the powder done ready so everybody thinks that you look really sexy. Lights are going to come down. You're going to strip again and then, just look seductive. You got it? And you're like, mm-hmm. And then they run away and like all of that happens really fast. And it's dead silent, because they're going to add the music later. And so it's like this weird, awkward, horrible thing.
Yeah, without the music, that would just be so uncomfortable. You've got to have the music on, or
they may have
like a little
beat,
earpiece or something.
But it would depend on what they're recording. Because if they're trying to get the wall of the actual crowd in the venue, they might not have music because they would need to add that on another track. It never came out weirdly, but I did this. I was background on this music video, and they they played the song, but like super quiet.
Oh, that's odd.
And we're all supposed to be like dancing like it's like a rager. It's very bizarre.
But you can barely hear the music. So you're like, yeah.
I think there's weird moments like that in this movie because I can't remember we talked about it at the time, but during the scene where Mr. Freeze meets Ivy, in the background, there's a fight going on, but you can tell it's obviously people fighting silently. So they're having to be like pretend punching each other but not making any noise and stuff because they need to pick up the dial. It's like that would be a weird scenario of like pretending you're in the middle of a brawl but having to do it really quietly. It's
great. I liked their chemistry though, to be honest. Like
really? Oh wow.
Like when they first meet, like Ivy and Freeze.
Oh, I thought you meant Clooney and Val McPherson. I was like,
no.
I was like, chemistry where?
No, they act like they've met at like they act like they're partners in the same law firm that work in different offices.
Yeah. Like they see each other in passing, maybe on their lunch break.
Not even like they see each other like quarterly to like review things. And she's like, before they go to the meeting, like her assistant has to remind her like what his name is, and like Alfred has like written her name as well, like onto Bruce's planner, like in bold.
Oh my god, I love it. That is perfect. And we've talked about this actually. I think from Bruce's point of view, that kind of is how he sees her, because we've described her as his beard.
Yeah,
she's his disguise.
Was there like any kind of analogy with like a bat beard? Anything you can...
I mean, I want a t-shirt. Now we need a t-shirt. You need to draw it of Batman with a giant beard.
I absolutely will do that.
Here's one thing though that actually is
with a beard.
But I mentioned it briefly in the green room, as it were. something about Elle Macpherson's eyes in this scene are really distracting to me, because it looks like, you know, when you ever see those like weird YouTube conspiracy videos, like the David Icke thing about like changeling people.
Oh yeah, and they'll like boost the contrast on the eyes.
Yeah,
like,
and like, here's this one video of Paul McCartney where he turns slightly, his eyes turn into lizard eyes. It's like, it looks like her eyes are lizard eyes. This whole scene is Elle Macpherson. Is David Icke right? And Elle Macpherson is actually like a changeling, shape-shifting alien?
And it's caught on film in this moment.
Yes.
You've discovered it. The truth. You're going to try and cancel us, aren't you? You're going to delete this from YouTube. We know what the government are up to.
That's why there's no chemistry between her and Clooney. So like, well, they're entirely different, species in terms of planetary, origins and stuff that
I have to
So.
say the eyes did not register for me.
I don't know if it is just me, but it's just something going on there. I don't know if it's the lighting, but they're very piercing and very odd to me. Where I'm like, but I think I'd be unsettled if someone was sitting and staring at me with eyes like that.
I'd probably be into it.
Yeah, I think it's the lighting thing, because it's going for not full on like 1930s lighting, but it's going for a kind of old fashioned style here, isn't it? Where, there's a lot of light on the face, specifically like around the eyes and things like that.
But of course, Bruce, he's not even looking at her eyes. He's off looking in the corner. For we see a return of a much beloved character who's appeared previously. The Gotham Steam reappears briefly in the movie here.
Oh yes, the Gotham Steam. I forgot
this is,
the Gotham Steam.
Despite having Poison Ivy in it, in a different context, this is not a very steamy film.
Yeah, it's very chaste in its bizarre way, where you think it was going to be a full-on sex pot kind of movie, but it's like, no, it's. I will say though that this is bizarrely, because I think throughout the last two seasons I've been like, oh, Schumacher's just ripping off a lot of ideas from the Batman animated series and stuff, and as if that was as far back as they went. But we'll say, the last time we saw Poison Ivy at that, the flower ball where it was kind of like a beauty competition, and I was like, that's a bit like Poison Ivy's first appearance in the comics. And this entire scene is essentially like lifted wholesale from her second appearance in the comics.
The movie does feel very much like a comic in general, I think.
I think they a lot of people will say like, oh, it's like the 60s TV show, but the producers and stuff will say like it's the Silver Age comic books. That's what we're going for, not so much the show.
I haven't seen the show, but I have seen a couple of the comic books. And so that was how I thought about it. I was like, wow, this is they're like down to the shots, like the frames and like the colors. It's like they're going for, okay.
I'd say that's within this exact bit too. Like the opening of Batman 183 from August 1966. The story, A Touch of Poison Ivy, opens with Bruce Wayne on a date, sitting at a table, having dinner, and at the same angle and everything, he's sitting looking at her, and she just turns into Poison Ivy because he's got Poison Ivy on his brain. He can't stop thinking about her and stuff.
Just tripping balls.
I love the way she's just sort of lurking there, yeah, like a peeping Tom or peeping Tomasina, just watching over with no disguise. He's imagining her in the Ivy outfit because that's all he's seen, really.
Yeah.
That and a gorilla suit.
Well, no, because she showed up in her nerd outfit, and he just totally didn't recognize her. I'm sorry, she's not hot enough to pay attention to, obviously.
But
this
now,
is billionaire, playboy, whatever, philanthropist. Is that the litany?
Yeah, as they refer to him in that comic book, millionaire sportsman. I was like,
Yep.
what's a sportsman?
He plays women.
Oh, that's what it is.
Words.
Women are his sport.
But within that too, yeah, he's kissing. The thing is, in that comic, Bruce Wayne's a bit more of a cad because he's on 3 separate dates, and each one of them he's imagining Poison Ivy. And at one point, he's kissing a woman, and he realizes like, I'm imagining kissing Poison Ivy, and it's weird because back then they hadn't established like the pheromones thing. It was just that way back when Poison Ivy was just like, she was like so beautiful. It was almost supernatural that she would just get into people's minds.
I like that though, because I think here you're getting like a double whammy. Like it's both the lingering effects of the pheromones, but also she kind of represents sort of like the world that Bruce could reside in.
Yeah.
Rather than this boring life back at the manor, he could be with someone like this, someone who gets him. Like she might be evil, but the concept of the freedom of it would kind of appeal.
I think it was utilized quite interestingly as well. Like it's a lingering kind of threat to have that power, quote unquote, because And that story Neil Gaiman did, Pavan, in the late 80s, where it kind of retold Ivy's origins. There is a whole thing where a guy keeps going in to interview her, and everyone's like, just be careful around her. He's like, she's not doing anything. It's like, it doesn't matter. It's like, and afterwards, he's like, I can't stop thinking about her. Everything I look at, I keep seeing Poison Ivy, and it's like, she's secreting a pheromone, or just something supernatural about her, but she just gets into people's heads, and you can't stop thinking about her. So
I took it as like she does have like her like plant powers. Two minds of this thing. Number one, she has plant powers, and she's very manipulative. Like she has like psychology. She's a scientist. It's like chess for her. You know, like she's like setting them up. But then the other part of me is like, I'm not sure she's still human anymore. Like she's like, oh yeah, like my skin is plant and whatever, and I don't have blood anymore. I'm like, are you still human? Like I wondered if she was kind of taken over by like a sentient plant energy, and like it's just wearing Ivy's form like a candle mold, you know.
Oh, that's a great way of looking at it. I've never thought of that. Maybe that is not. It is literally not the same person. It is another being. Almost.
It's like Jeffrey Jones and Howard the Duck, where
it's like Venom.
Okay, yeah,
Sorry.
got the venom. She literally like the thing in the veins, and she was doused in venom herself, so it actually would tie together all pretty well if that were the case.
Wow, she and Venom should hang out.
It's weird though saying that, like the idea of her getting into people's heads. It is appropriate too that in the comics and in the cartoon show and stuff now, her and Harley Quinn are hooked up because of course Harley Quinn is a psychiatrist.
My first thought with Harley and with Ivy is with that the comic book scene. It's like really heartbreaking, but it's like the scene where, basically like Harley's like been abused by the Joker, as everybody's seen. And Ivy is like talking to her, and there's this like horrible, sad backstory, and Ivy like takes care of her. That's my only.
Yeah,
that's all I got.
Yeah, that is the grand romance now within the comics. It's like people.
It's a romance? Oh, okay.
Oh yeah, nowadays, like they are canonically a couple, Poison Ivy
Nice.
and Harley Quinn now. Yeah, even like in the Harley Quinn TV show, like season 2 end was them finally hooking up and stuff. So it's like we've entered into a new era. It's like people would like, we need to get away from Harley being like, now she's so popular, we can't have her basically be like this icon of abusive relationships. We need to move her away from that. So now she's with Poison Ivy, and it's more of a empowering kind of progressive, openly queer couple within comics. It's like, there you go, that's much better, I guess. So
I mean, between abusive relationship and lesbian relationship, yes, that's so wildly much better. Like, also, I can't hold it any longer. I did send you Batman with a beard.
Oh, nice. Is it that you literally just sketched this now within the last 2 seconds?
Yes, I did. Yeah, it's very good.
It's like, oh, you really built this up now. I have to see this thing.
I drew it on my whiteboard. He's been staring at me as we've been talking, and I just couldn't wait any longer.
God. Oh, the file is huge as well.
Oh, I'm sorry.
20 gigabytes to contain
I just took it
the
in
beauty.
mail. I just did whatever they.
Oh, I know it is, but it's just like it's like I'm scrolling down. Like all I've got is the ear so far. It's so big.
Oh no! Let me send you a smaller.
Oh no, God, don't worry. Oh yeah. Oh,
Can you download it?
That he looks very sad. I have to say.
He has soulful eyes.
He's sad
Like
because he needs to
Clooney.
shave.
Thank you for justifying my Batman.
But that'll be have to put that up in the show notes when this goes up.
Hell yeah. Let's include that with the episode straight up. Yeah.
Yeah, copyright you guys. Well, copyright me, I guess, but you can use them for 5 years.
We'll slap it on a t-shirt. We'll make millions.
Yes.
What was I gonna say? Oh yeah. So, but we'll note though, there is a weird connection. Well, it's not that weird, but there is a notable connection between Uma Thurman and Elle Macpherson here. But in real life, at this point, Elle Macpherson was romantically entangled with a fellow called Arpad Busson, who is a French financier and the chairman of EIM. And was with him up until 2005, and she had 2 kids with him, and then they broke up. And in 2007, Uma Thurman hooked up with Arpad Busan
Ah.
Oh no!
and had a kid with him.
Wow.
Again, I think the end of their relationship was much more contentious. They had like custody battles and stuff with the kid, but yeah, like I wonder if he watched this movie and he's like, oh my god, this is my life. Like the entire time I was with Elle, I was just seeing visions of Uma Thurman on the side.
No.
She was working her magic.
Yeah, it's like it's just weird. Like these two ladies, they interact, a couple of times in this movie, very briefly, but like they it sounds bad saying it, but they shared a man, I guess, or they were hooked up with the same fella. Anyway, they were both impregnated by the same guy.
Jeez.
It just gets worse every spin you try to do on
there's
it.
There's no. Every time you said that, it just felt worse.
Yeah. Impregnated. You made it very clinical. I don't like it. Inseminated.
Of course, though,
These women had similar tastes in men.
That's a nice way of putting it. Yeah.
Also, though, it should be noted that Uma Thurman obviously had very high-profile relationships. She was with Ethan Hawke for a couple of years. Obviously had Maya Hawke, who went on to be in Stranger Things. She was a couple of different people: Timothy Hutton, Robert De Niro, John Cusack, Richard Gere, Don Johnson.
I mean, you'd want to have the sample set, right? If you had the opportunity.
But her first marriage was to Gary Oldman back in 1990. And of course, Gary Oldman would go on to play Commissioner Gordon in the Chris Nolan Batman movie. And later on, Poison Ivy is flirting with Pat Hingle's Commissioner Gordon in this movie. So I wonder if she's like, oh, I just have a thing for commissioners. Yeah.
Oh yeah, commissioners.
It was like 15 years off Gary playing that commissioner, but I just sensed it about him,
He had that commissioner energy.
I could see the mustache starting to sprout.
Maybe it's like a
behind his
casting
lip.
director who just ships real people.
Yeah.
Like they're like, oh, you know who would look good together, and then that's just who they cast.
And then they just like Pat Hingle, Uma Thurman, make it so.
Oh
Like
yeah,
it's like a kid with
baby.
Barbies, or like that episode of Adventure Time where Finn gets the little people.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Like that, it's just like a few casting directors who are like getting bored, and are like
Just that those guys who cast Mila Kunis and Ashton Kutcher in that 70s show all those years ago are like nudging each other now, going like, we made that happen. Like they're still together, got kids and everything now because of us.
It is weird, that, isn't it? I always forget that. Jeez.
Yeah, and she was a teenager.
Yeah, she was a crazy young though. Didn't she lie to get the audition
she
or
did.
something?
Yeah. And she's the sort who looks young, but she could pass for the age she was saying she was. So they're like, okay, yeah. Like they didn't really check.
Yeah. Although other relationship details here, though, we do of course have George Clooney in the room as well. He's a guy also hooked up with several high-profile people.
Like one or two.
Actually, not as many ones I instantly recognized, because I thought like, oh, he must have gone out with everybody. It's like, no, there's a lot of people who are technically famous, but they're more like famous
Like
for
who?
being like he was married for a couple of years to Talia Balsam, who of
Talia
course
al Ghul.
Yeah,
I didn't know the
Talia.
French guy either, I have to say, the financier. I would have had no idea who he was.
I think it's a lot of these, the Hollywood elite just hang out with the cultural elite, I guess, and then they just hook up with rich people because they're rich as well. But Talia Balsam was Martin Balsam's daughter. People might know the actor Martin Balsam was in tons of things way back in the days, in 12 Angry Men, The Taking of Pelham 1, 2, 3. Also in St. Elmo's Fire, which of course was directed by Joel Schumacher. Then she was also the daughter, Talia Balsam is the daughter of Joyce Van Patten, who was in Mad Men with John Slattery, and now she's married to him these days. And apparently she was in a movie way back when called Slattery's People. I was like, that's weirdly appropriate that you would end up marrying a guy called John Slattery, but
What the hell?
yeah, but so Clooney, Talia Balsam lasted a couple of years. Then he was hooked up with Kelly Preston, who of course died there last year. Famous actress, also was married to John Travolta for many years. And again, most of it then it's like Renee Zellweger, obviously that's a big name. But it gets into people then like Kimberly Russell. It's like, I don't know who that is.
Okay, yeah, Kim Russell. She's an actress. Isn't
They met on the set of a Martini commercial. I was like, that's so fucking Clooney. That's of course he met someone on a Martini commercial.
Yeah, you couldn't be more perfect, really. That.
It's like, guarantee he was wearing a tuxedo with the bow tie undone when he did it too. Like, fuck, no, it's Clooney every time.
He's too cool and suave. If not that
No,
they ever
it's the head
should,
wiggle.
but
Remember,
if
this is the head wiggling era of Clooney.
Not that they ever should, but if they ever, for some bizarre reason, did like let's do an American James Bond remake, you could imagine him. Look at him,
Yeah,
Mr. Suave and cool.
Of course, yeah, the people like Lisa Snowden, Elisabetta Canali. That's like I don't know any of these people. And of course, notably now he is hooked up with someone who is quite famous in her own right, but for non-movie reasons. But of course, married to Amal Alamuddin, who was a human rights lawyer. She was the one defending Julian Assange from getting extradited during the whole WikiLeaks thing. And I always enjoy that Clooney's he always praises her. And I remember like when they got married, there was headlines saying like famous human rights lawyer marries actor, like really bigging her up instead of him and stuff. And he is always out there going like, oh, she's much more impressive than I am. Like she deserves all your attention rather than me and stuff. So, and then they seem they've got twins now, and like they've got like a really solid relationship going. So good on Amal and Clune Dog there.
Yeah, it's cool of him to not just go the obvious route of like I'm going to marry some big famous actor. You know?
I have to go now at the end. Like George, can you send us footage of the kids? We want to see if the heads wiggle. And he's just like, I'm worried it's a genetic condition or something. I think they're gonna. They get it too. It took decades to train myself out of that.
Yeah, I wonder if it is genetic.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe it is that must be a learned behavior. It's like my father wiggled his head, and now your father's gonna wiggle his head.
My father's father, his father.
It's deep in the genes, you know.
Yeah. Well, someone who, you know, is teasing Bruce deep in his genes is Julie. She leans in and goes for the kiss. You know, always leave him wanting a little more. She's like, you know, if this is the end, I'm gonna make sure he remembers.
But I feel really bad in that, like, the one bit of passion he shows is during this kiss, and we know that he's thinking of Poison Ivy at the time.
He calls her name out.
Yeah. So it's like, oh, Julie, lady, get out of there, man.
Yeah, that's the end to me. That is the end. If you say someone else's name, no.
And the fact that he doesn't look that arse either. When she's like, you know, who's Ivy? And he's like, like it just doesn't seem like he's fussed. Like
you'd be like, oh my god, oh no, I've been stressed at work. It's the woman at work.
Yeah. You feel like this would be an opportunity for tension, where it would be more like, oh my god, like, you know, I didn't really, like, if there was any connection between these two characters, this might be like, oh, I hope everything's okay with Bruce and Julie. But nobody cares. Because
this Bruce is like, I'll just get another one of these women tomorrow if I need to. It's fine.
Yeah, it's gotta get the backup out of the closet, I guess. But, although, have either of you two guys, have you ever done the saying someone else's name thing? Or
Never.
is that too...
No.
Never.
It's such a trope in sitcoms. I'm like, people must do it all the time. It seems to constantly happen.
I have seen like a post online that was something along the lines of like, that's a goal, is to get somebody to say your name with somebody else. But I like...
Oh, that's harsh.
I like a quiet life. You know?
Yeah.
I was going to ask you too, Bryarly, in the middle of all like the celebrities dating each other. Like, oh, you live in LA. Do you know anyone who's hooked up with anyone famous? Or... Like, I knew Amal Alamoun, and she hooked up to George Clooney.
No, well, to be honest, I wouldn't feel comfortable talking about it.
Oh, fair enough. Totally, yeah.
Yeah, only ones that you would. Yeah, no, don't worry.
Yeah, I don't have any bits of juicy goss, I'm afraid.
You can get that... you can get that dating app, can't you? That's frequented by famous people.
I did actually know somebody who's on the rich and famous dating app. I can't remember what it's called. I know somebody who's on it.
Well, I thought for a joke, like let's see if they let me sign up. And I went once. It's like you have to have an Apple phone. There's like, I've got Android. I can't sign up.
I think what's the pitch of it? Is it like you have to be like a certain wealth threshold, or like you have to be a certain height of fame?
They do a lot of checks on you to make sure you're the right standard, shall we say. I don't think you have to necessarily be rich.
I do know a woman who's on that, and we were all like, "How is it? You know, like who's on there?" And she mentioned a few actors who you would know, and then like we all wanted to know like, is it any better? You know, like messaging
not.
those guys? And she said no. Yeah,
No, I can imagine.
they're
It's exactly
the same. They just have more money.
At least you'd probably get less. You'd get fewer dick pics coming through though, because they'd be worried about them leaking.
Absolutely not. You definitely would get exactly the same number of dick pics.
Oh, God,
Probably
no.
more.
Oh, no.
They'd be really proud.
I suppose there's the worry that they think they're so cool and amazing and famous that, like, well, of course you're going to want to receive
Right.
this.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so we do get the ending of the notes of, Ivy. You just called me Ivy. Who's Ivy?
You know, I guess he could say too, like, well, I was drugged earlier.
Yeah, if she knew anything about his life, at least, even 1%. But imagine just slipping that into conversation. I was at a party and someone gave me drugs.
But it's also too just the fact that, like, it feels like after this she'll be like, well, who's Ivy? And just be like, I don't know. Anyway, and just go back to his business. He won't even give her a good excuse. He's just gonna be like, who cares? And, like,
that was so 10 seconds ago. Move on.
Yeah. It actually feels like, again, this could be a much more tense scene in the fact that this is Batman, and he, like, one of his things is, like, Batman's obviously, totally insane as a person because he dresses as a bat and goes around beating up people and stuff. But he is also very regimental and organized in his own mentality. Like, he knows exactly who he is, what he's thinking about. He's hyper focused on things. So then, we're leaking a little bit into the next minute, but, like, him going, like, I wish I knew and stuff. That could be a moment of tension. And I think even in, like, the script and in the novelization and stuff, when he sees it's Ivy he's kissing, he, like, recoils in shock. So it could be more of like, why can't I stop thinking about this woman? He'll be like, something's wrong. Like,
like he's like disturbed.
Yeah, he could be more like, this has never happened before. I'm usually much more clear-headed than this. So if I can't stop thinking about this random woman, something's wrong, basically.
Maybe he doesn't know that he's not into his not fiance.
It's news to him. Like, oh, I thought I liked her.
Right.
No, I think he's very aware that he's not into his not fiance, though.
No.
Oh.
I think he'd be more shocked if he was envisioning Julie Madison when he was with someone else. He'd be like, what am I thinking about her for?
Oh, Julie. Oh, okay. I do like in this scene the music, though. I thought it was very Twin Peaks Fire Walk With Me. Specifically Fire Walk With Me, though, not the TV show. Very different
Haven't
music.
seen it. I've only seen the TV show, and I will say, if you're ever in New York and things are like, normal, you should go to Twin Peaks Bingo.
Oh.
It was. I didn't know that Twin Peaks was very funny until I went to Twin Peaks Bingo.
Oh yeah, it is. It is.
It was like a like the old school Rocky Horror shows where you'd like throw stuff. It felt like that. Like they're like you'd have a bingo square for like when he talks about coffee. And like a bingo square for the log lady. And
this sounds perfect.
It was great.
Yeah, that does. It really sounds up my alley right now. So yeah, definitely. Well, me and John's alley.
Start it in your towns, listeners. Twin Peaks Bingo. Damn fine cup of coffee.
Coming to Liverpool, 2022.
Also, though, in the music, I almost again felt a little bit bad for Julie because that piano bit, that's the Chase Meridian theme. So it's almost as if Elliot Goldenthal was like, I'm not writing new music for this lady.
Bruce probably doesn't even notice that this isn't Chase Meridian.
Yeah.
He's like, I thought you're the same woman, right?
It's almost till he's getting down to a point like, they're all the same. So, yeah, every woman in my life has the same leitmotif because it's just a generic romance theme now.
I don't feel like you can blame it on the women, though. Like, he's the one who's shuffling them through a revolving door. Like,
it's entirely
maybe
his
this
fault,
is
yeah.
this is just his date music. Like, he's like a director and is like, this is the date music, and I'll probably get an actress to play the date, and I'll show up, and maybe she'll talk to me about marriage. That'll be fine.
You just have
Ivy?
a little remote under the table, so every time like the fire, he presses a button,
Right,
the fire
yeah,
erupts.
exactly. Oh, like in those old like movies where like the fire it like revolves around to reveal like a wet bar. They should have had that because you know what? They could have had a funny moment where like the ice like outfit spins around and he has to like hide it from her while she's telling him this very serious thing.
But the great two of those actually like the piano, that's diegetic as well. Like Alfred's in the corner playing the piano.
Oh,
too.
that'd be great.
He's like struggling to sit up. Just like
Just like sweating profusely, his head down on the top of the keys, but he's also still playing something.
Bruce goes over periodically to prod him to make sure he stays awake. Come on.
And then just like I really do appreciate again any use of saxophone in this movie, because the kissing Julie Madison, it's the Chase Meridian piano theme. Then he sees this Ivy as
yeah, that's the sound of sex.
Yeah, that's how you know she's hot.
Saxophone.
I also had a thought too where maybe it was even workshopped back then, but I'm not a fan of the title Batman and Robin. I just think it's a bit blech. And,
I like it.
Really?
Tells you what's going on, kind of. Batman and Robin and Ivy and Alfred. Batman and gang.
Oh, yeah, the Bat Gang.
The Bat Gang!
Bat Gang.
What is it? Bat Gang. Bat Gang.
I was thinking though, because she says like, "Oh, Ivy, who's Ivy?" And then this is the fourth movie. You could call it Batman IV.
Oh,
and the Roman numerals, and then it's like, hey, get it?
Oh, that'd be cool. And you could design them to look kind of like they're wrapped around with vines and stuff.
Yeah,
the V. Yeah.
Only problem with that is like Schwarzenegger wouldn't have it. Like he would be like, not a. Apparently, he had like creative say so over like the poster. So that's why he's like the biggest head on it, and that's why he's on top. It's like,
I love it.
He
that's so
up.
Arnold.
So if they had like the title be an allusion to the other villain, they'd be like, not a chance. It's all about Arnie.
Oh, they are a great duo. They are.
There's so much going on in that film. I
should ask briefly, Bryarly, because of course every season we do our rating of the super hunks, because we had of course Jack Nicholson in season 1 and Chris O'Donnell and whatnot last season. Arnold Schwarzenegger, where do you stand on him? Like not as a as a politician or as a man, but
listen, I can't even talk about Arnold Schwarzenegger because of Robin. Robin is the hottest guy in that film.
Oh God, I remember last.
Batman is the second.
That's because I remember last season you were tossed up. You couldn't decide between O'Donnell and Kilmer, and then so you're saying now, you're saying O'Donnell. Oh, he's way above Clooney.
Yeah, I like blondes.
Oh wow.
My boyfriend is like a strawberry blonde, and it's great.
I think this is Clooney before he is sexy Clooney. Like nowadays.
Yeah,
he
he's still
great.
in Wiggly Chicken Clooney. Like,
He
but
hasn't
also,
grown into his looks yet.
I think that Clooney looks like my best friend, and so I think my brain is just like, that's my buddy. So Robin, what do you do when you're not?
He's clearly designed to be the sexy man of the film. But Arnold, Niall, every time you bring this up, I'm like, that's a weird question. But I like that you're asking it. I like that you're going there. You're not scared to ask the tough questions.
I think it's more because the thing with Arnie is because he's so insanely muscular.
Yeah.
I just find he would be more kind of like intimidating, like more scary.
But some people like that when it's like a consensual intimidation.
I don't like his teeth.
He does have odd teeth. Yeah.
But I agree with my previous assessment with Van Kilmer. Both hot. But no, Chris O'Donnell is the hottest one in that film for sure. He looks great.
God damn. No. So this is going to be a great day for Chris O'Donnell. We'll have to tweet him to be like, you beat both
if he ever listens to
Schwarzenegger
this and is like,
freaking Clooney.
Yeah. He's been listening all along just for this moment. He's like, yes.
Just hoping we invite him on someday. It's like,
we genuinely should. Maybe he'd say yes. We should. We can tell him you are the king of the super hunks.
And that might be the one they've come in. It's like, yeah, we do this every season, and you're reigning champ, man. A lot of people said they weren't into Jack Nicholson, but a lot of people said they were into you.
No to Jack Nicholson.
Nobody particularly singled out either way Keaton, did they?
No.
Oh, come on. He looks like Billy Joel.
He really does. He really does. But nobody dissed Keaton, and nobody also went the other way and went like, oh yeah, just kind of like, yeah, Michael Keaton's there.
Yeah. This is we did do Walken in the second season, but it was very like Walken's a very acquired taste, I think. I can understand people finding him attractive, but it's very you're going to be few and far between, I think, with that.
It would be like an attraction mixed with fear, I think, for Walken. It wouldn't be like pure lust. You'd be a little like, Like a bird mesmerized by a snake.
Yeah, you'd always be worried. Like, what's he going to do now? What's he going to say?
100%.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm happy to move on to the
Clooney's
next
hot, but I feel like I just would be worried about it, you know.
Worried about
Like
it.
O'Donnell, yeah, like O'Donnell, like seems like you could like go to like an arcade with him and have a good time, or like go and do stuff. But like Clooney's like wiggliness and his like distraction, I'm just
You might enjoy, I don't know, maybe wiggling around in the bedroom is a good thing. Maybe
no,
that's why
like, people
Clooney does
irritate
it.
me. I'm like, are you listening? Why are you? Just sit still.
Well, Bryarly, we will head off now to the dark, dark night. Would you like to tell our listeners where you can be found online or promote anything of your choosing?
Absolutely. So you can find me online at Bryarly.com, Bryarly.com. That also has all the information for how to get in touch with anybody who you would want to work with me on things. And it also has links to music and videos. As far as things coming up, I am one of the 2 characters in this new play called The Zigzag. It is an Irish play. We worked with people from Ireland, England, New Jersey, and California to get it done. And that is on premiertheplay.com. It'll come out at the end of this month. And I'm Irish the whole time and doing my best, so...
Yeah, that
give it a listen and be nice.
I thought that was pretty good, but you know, I'm not Irish. So Niall, what do you give it? 10 out of 10.
Doing it respectfully, trying very hard. But it's very interesting. It is about like a dystopian future where Ireland has a hard border and drone surveillance and catching and like violence is the norm.
I'm from a border town too over in Ireland. So,
Perfect.
yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, I was gonna ask though, because like most of the Irish plays I've seen, they're always like set in the 30s, and they always start off really fun, and then they always end very sadly. So I was gonna say, does it have a sad ending? Because
It does not. I don't believe it has a sad ending. It has a somewhat ambiguous ending, but I think it is uplifting.
Oh, like the Irish plays I've seen is like, there's no ambiguity about how sad the ending is. It's like,
It's more about. I think it's quite hopeful.
Hey.
But yeah, it's called The Zigzag. It's on premiertheplay.com. I think it comes out the 31st.
oh, nice.
Check that out, everybody. That sounds amazing. And come and speak to us, at all the usual places. Facebook at the Batminute Listeners Cave, Twitter at Batminute, Instagram, The Batminute, and head on over to our Patreon where you can give us a couple of dollars and you get loads of exciting, wonderful bonus stuff. We're talking about Dark Victory. We've done a Terminator 2 commentary track, which you can listen to just as an episode if you want, because we're so good, we're that descriptive that you can just listen to it. Or, sync it up with the movie. It's all good. And, head over there, do all of that, and join us again on Wednesday for more Bat Minute and Robin.
Next time, Diary of a Simpy Kid. There's an identity discussion via dining and whining while Dick delves into some newspaper findings. The boy voyeur covets a visit to Ivy, but which habitual bike burglar is about to once again flee? There's 2 kinds of bird watching going down on Wednesday, Batmites. Same Bat Pod, different Bat Minute.
We'll be back.
Arr.